Before I get into the bulk of this video, I would just like to point out that I am a student at a university. This is solely my opinion. I am not going to try to push my beliefs on anybody in the terms of politics or religion. This is solely a response to a sign that I saw with very minimal political and religious information. If that offends you, don't watch this. I'm not going to apologize. So here we go. I saw a sign on my campus the other day that said, "What if Jesus were president?" Being semi-involved in politics and also a semi-practicing Roman Catholic, I was immediately caught off guard on several fronts, mostly by the fact that Jesus really couldn't be president. Or could he? Well, no, he couldn't. Never mind the fact that he was born in the wrong era, in the wrong nation, in the wrong hemisphere. Actually, no, let's talk about that for a bit first. The United States Constitution has just 3 guidelines for becoming the president as outlined here. Number 1, be a natural-born U.S. citizen. We've already talked about this one. As tradition has it, Jesus was born in Bethlehem in the modern-day state of Palestine, which is in Africa, not America. Wrong country, wrong continent, wrong hemisphere to be president. Number 2, which is actually number 3, live in the United States for at least 14 years. Once again, wrong hemisphere. Done and done. And number 3, which is actually number 2, be at least 35 years old. Now this one's interesting. While historians place Jesus between the ages of 31 and 39 upon his death, he is traditionally believed to have died at age 33. Since the requirement is to be at least 35 years old, this means that he would have had to literally come back from the dead to be president. Oh wait! Oh my god, he did! Yes! Jesus is risen, let's do this! Whoa, let's do this! Let's put him in the Oval Office, baby! Let's put him there, he'll fix everything, he'll fix the religion, he'll fix the politics, he'll bring all of America into one United States. Oh my god, this is crazy. He'll do it. He will be the best president ever for 40 days until he ascends into heaven, according to the Acts of the Apostles. After that, he would peace out, ride the holy light up to the heavens, and leave his running mate, the Holy Spirit, to move up from vice president to the big time. This would make Jesus not just the youngest president, surpassing Teddy Roosevelt, who was about a month and a half shy of 43 on his inauguration day, but also the second shortest serving president ever, shy of only William Henry Harrison, who served for a stunningly short 31 days. But in the Bible, there are things dubbed magic numbers that show up disproportionately more times than other non-magic numbers. These numbers include 3, 7, 12, and believe it or not, 40. It's used 146 times between the two testaments. Biblical scholars and historians alike have come to realize that the number 40 is the long-term trial number and is used almost every time that authors wanted to show a large passage of time, and is often used to mark a period where one's faith is tested. Don't believe me? Just watch. Noah's Ark floated for 40 days and 40 nights during the flood. Those fleeing from Egypt wandered the desert for 40 years before finding their promised land. Moses went up to Mount Sinai twice. Yes, twice. Oh my god, let's make a giant shiny golden cow and worship it! And both times he was up there for, you guessed it, 40 days. It was about a 40-year period between Jesus' ascension to Jerusalem's 70 AD destruction. Jesus fasted for 40 days to tell Satan to piss off, and Jesus' time spent on earth from resurrection to ascension was 40 days. This episode brought to you by The Ring. Who's to say that 40 has to mean 40, and that it doesn't just mean a long time? It's actually quite feasible that Jesus stayed on earth for a much longer period of time, possibly years before his ascension. And for those who argue, oh my god, why would the Bible lie about a period of time? First of all, fix your accent, and second of all, it's because the Bible was only inspired by God. It was written by humans, and nearly all humans, male and female, young and old, exaggerate periods of time. And even you, dear viewer, how often does 5 more minutes actually end up being 5 more minutes? And it's not even certain that Jesus was exactly 33 upon his death. The final age, as mentioned before, is believed to be in a range between 31 and 39, although this would still make Jesus the youngest president. Keep in mind that this is a historical number with factual backup, and not a number handed down through oral tradition, like, say, Adam's age upon his death, 930. Yeah, no. Jesus was written about by several Roman historians, my favorite being Gaius Suetonius Tranquillus, who wrote a lot about the followers of Christus and how they often caused disturbances in local towns. Also, I just love the way his name sounds. Suetonius, bro! Suppose all that doesn't matter. The United States government finds a way to pass laws saying that the president doesn't have to be a US-born citizen, they don't have to be 35, and they don't have to have lived in the United States for 14 years. This would not only lead to hordes of people setting up personal campaigns to run for office. Oh my god. But it would also allow Jesus to run for president. But we are forgetting the most important, unofficial, and often overlooked 4th requirement of the presidency. The candidate must be elected by the people! Or the Electoral College on behalf of the people, but you guys know what I mean. CGP Grade does a better job of explaining that. Watch his videos. Election, right? Wrong. The United States religious demographic breakdown as of 2014 looks like this. It's 46.5% Protestant. Catholicism is technically the second largest religious denomination at 20.8%, but it's the third largest group, with unaffiliated citizens coming in at 22.8%. The remaining 9.9% are a lovely smattering of assorted world religions, with 0.6% of the people saying, my religion, my business, and staying out of it. That's roughly 1.9 million citizens, which sounds like a lot of people until you consider the 2012 presidential election and the fact that about 93 million people decided not to exercise their right to vote. That's nearly 30%, which is much larger than the entire United States Catholic population. Back to voting. While Protestantism Protestantism and Catholicism are both sects of Christianity, there are several differences between the two, the most notable including that Protestants do not believe in transubstantiation, which is the presence of Jesus in the Eucharist, by the way, which is a huge deal in the Catholic Church, and also Catholics don't really get along with the world of science, which Protestants have become very friendly with, what with 72% of all Nobel laureates identifying as Protestant. Also, Protestants have had an incredibly good relationship with worldly authorities, helping keep order and peace in various lands. They've helped form several early American colonies. Plymouth was founded by Separatists and Calvinists, Massachusetts Bay, New Haven, and New Hampshire were founded by Puritans and Calvinists, and New York, Virginia, the Carolinas, and Georgia were founded by the Church of England, all sects of Protestantism. Boom! First try! Let's give credit where credit is due. Protestants have done amazing things, and it should come as no surprise that the majority of United States presidents are also Protestant. In fact, Catholics have only elected one of their own into office, a young Roman Catholic by the name of John F. Kennedy. 43 and a half years young as he took the oath of office in January 1961. This led to a huge debacle over our number one reason why Jesus could never be president: the separation of church and state. Oversimplifying it a lot, the separation of church and state can be summarized by quoting the United States Constitution, Article 6, Clause 3, saying the following, and I quote, "No religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States," end quote. To his favor, JFK handled this quite handsomely in his address to the Greater Houston Ministerial Association in September of 1960, where he said the following. Get comfy, it's a long quote, but it's worth every word said. Quote, "Neither do I look with favor upon those who would work to subvert Article 6 of the Constitution by requiring a religious test, even by indirection. For if they disagree with that safeguard, they should be openly working to repeal it. Contrary to common newspaper usage, I am not the Catholic candidate for president. I am the Democratic Party's candidate for president, who happens also to be a Catholic. I do not speak for my church on public matters, and the church does not speak for me. Whatever issue may come before me as president, if I should be elected on birth control, divorce, censorship, gambling, or any other subject, I will make my decision in accordance with these views, in accordance with what my conscience tells me to be in the national interest and without regard to outside religious pressure or dictates, and no power or threat of punishment could cause me to decide otherwise. But if the time should ever come, and I do not concede any conflict to be remotely possible, when my office would require me to either violate my conscience or violate the national interest, then I would resign the office, and I hope any other conscientious public servant would do likewise. But I do not intend to apologize for these views to my critics of either Catholic or Protestant faith, nor do I intend to disavow either my views or my church in order to win this election. If I should lose on real issues, I shall return to my seat in the Senate, satisfied that I tried my best and was fairly judged. But if this election is decided on the basis that 40 million Americans lost their chance of being president on the day they were baptized, then it is the whole nation that will be the loser, in the eyes of the Catholics and non-Catholics around the world, in the eyes of history, and in the eyes of our own people." End quote. Oh god, that was long. This is powerful stuff. While it's essentially the adult version of if something happens that I don't want to answer to, I'm quitting, Kennedy was super responsible and mature about it. He laid his intentions out clearly, he's acting on behalf of the nation, not the church, and it would be unfair to both parties for him to try to fight for both teams. This right here! This is why, even if Jesus could somehow change the laws and get elected, despite relating to a minority of the population and come into office, he could not be an effective president. Why? As 1/3 of the Trinity, Jesus is the church. Having the church in the state, acting as the head of both the church and the state, is fair to nobody. Pretty much any decision made will impact everybody, as decisions of leaders should, but there will be a divide in the reactions and responses. So there it is. As much respect as I have for both the office of the presidency and Jesus himself, the two simply cannot mix. At least not in America. And that is why Jesus could never be the United States president. And this sign's argument is invalid. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video, listening to me rant. Once again, I'm not trying to force my religious views, my political views on you. You do whatever the heck you want to do. If this video offended you, now that you've watched it, I mean, part of me's sorry, but part of me's not. This is strictly my opinion. If you want to discuss it, please leave a comment down below. I will be happy to discuss it with you. The moment a flame war breaks out, I'm blocking comments on this video. I swear, I will do it. I am a college student and I am heavily inspired by a lot of YouTube channels, particularly the Vlog Brothers and CGP Grey, who about halfway through this script writing video recording project, I realized this is essentially their love child. If the Vlog Brothers speaking in the CGP Grey style of picturing came together, it would be this video. Thank you very much for letting me essentially copy your formats, given that there was a recent issue with another brother channel on YouTube whose name I will not name, because if you're on YouTube and you know this issue, you know exactly who I'm talking about. I do not want to have another issue like that, so I will plead fair use. I will say thank you for inspiring me. Please don't hate me. Please don't flag this video. Please don't take it down. I'm not trying to rip you off. You just inspire me a lot. I made a script for this video. I'm proud of myself. I put a lot of work into this. Also, I love Wikipedia. Wikipedia is the amazingness of all sources. If I got something wrong, please feel free to correct me in the comments. I did my research, but my research could be wrong. Guys, have a good day. Take care of yourselves.